Hi, Rian. Thank you for joining me for Key Conversations. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. So to those watching the video today, this is Key Conversations, which is part of the Speakers Initiate's Key Talks Inspiring Change. And we have event number 6 coming up on November 27. And Rian is one of my speakers for that event, which I'm excited about because it's part of Social Inclusion Week. So Rian, I would like to start by saying that it's a great opportunity to finally get my chance to hear you present your 30-minute keynote. But what's really fascinating for me is how we actually connected. So what I'd like to do is reference that newspaper article. Do you want to just quickly tell people what it is that was in the newspaper that caught my attention?
I had put together a Feeding with Homeless program. It was just a one-off event this year. It was mainly for the purpose to have my children included. So we went into the city and fed the homeless and gave sanitary packs and, just tried to make them feel included within our community. And from there, the newspaper had covered it, the local paper had covered it, which is where Terry had read about it and reached out. So thank you, Terry, for looking at the paper in the first place, and now us having this connection. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, I couldn't not read it. Obviously, because my particular personal and professional interest is in social inclusion in its many forms. When I was reading the local newspaper, which I do, I don't actually read the paper version. I'm a bit technical that way. I actually get it through my Facebook feed. And when I saw that, I quickly opened it up and I went, wow, that's really cool. And when I read what you were doing about how you wanted to involve your children and help them to understand that not everybody has the normal family environment or the normal home or the normal food that we all just sort of seemingly take for granted, I was really touched by what you did. And I really wanted to, firstly, I wanted to connect and just applaud you for what you did. But after that, it was like I realized you probably had a really important message to share. And I thought, maybe my platform might be the perfect thing for you. And I was really excited when you said that you'd like to be part of it. So thank you back at you, because I think that's fantastic that this gives everybody an opportunity to really share important messages. And myself personally, without going into too much detail, I myself have had a brief experience of homelessness. It was a pretty tough time for me where when I call it homelessness, I had beds to sleep in, but they weren't my own. They were wherever I could get them. And it was through, probably lasted for about 9 months. And while that sounds like a long time, I had a roof over my head because people were giving me roofs over my head. And I did come close to sleeping in my car. That was very, very real. But the important part about that is not about my message. It's about understanding, because it can happen to anyone. And I think that's really critical, isn't it?
Definitely. Well, mine seemed to come to me from a different angle. Fortunately, I haven't been in a position of homelessness or, even disadvantaged dramatically, I would say. But in saying that, I was sort of on the search, like, let's say the pursuit to happiness. I was looking for different ways for my own personal wellness on how to feel happier as an individual. And I was looking at different methods, and gratitude kept coming back to the forefront. And I thought, this is a really cool lesson to pass to the children. So I thought, what better way to show them rather than just talk about it? And everywhere else that I had spoken to wouldn't allow children of the age of my kids. So I've got a 5-year-old, 7 and 8. So for insurance purposes, they just wouldn't allow younger children to volunteer. So I literally just put it together with my local community friends, and they brought their children along. And it was a very eye-opening experience that I hope that will stay with them for a lifetime.
Oh, that honestly, that just in itself, the fact that you were on a personal mission and didn't let an obstacle get in your way. And look, obstacles do happen, and sometimes those obstacles are way too big for us in the moment to overcome. Sometimes they will be a block to us, but there are times when we can find ways around things, and if we can't go around it, we go through it. and just taking people to a place where it's like, you know, sometimes you've got to find a way to get to the heart of a problem, and just having the initiative to do that is pretty amazing, especially when you took your children into consideration and your community into consideration. So again, kudos to you. I think that's the thing. That's what we as a community, which is what I'm really focused on, it's what we as a community are capable of. Sometimes we just need that one person to step up and say, I can do this, and yeah, follow the lead. But good on you for doing that. And I think this little conversation we're having now is a really great lead in to the reason for our key conversation today. And I'll just touch base again on the reason we do the key conversations. As part of Key Talks Inspiring Change, I really want the audience to get to know the speakers and to understand the message, and just to feel connected to who it is that's taking to the microphone before the events. And with our event coming up on November 27, which is part of Social Inclusion Week, which is founded by Dr. Jonathan Welch, who created the Choir of Hard Knocks, it's really, really valuable that we connected and that we can collaboratively share really important messages. So what I'd like to do is start our key conversation with the first of the questions that we arranged for us to talk about today. Forgive me while I put my glasses on, because my technology's failed me today, and flip between glasses so I can actually read things. So I'll take a few seconds to look all studious here. All right, so our first question is, let me just scroll to that important question, and we got to, fantastic question too. What makes you feel inspired or like you are at your best self?
As years go by, obviously different things inspire you, but at this point in my life, so I'm in my early 30s and a mum of three. I'm a stay-at-home mum at the moment. But what inspires me is definitely watching the process of someone get to from where they are to where they want to be.
Fantastic.
So I love reading biographies. I love watching, you know, movies of people that have achieved great things and seeing their background and the things that kind of held them back, and then to see how they overcome those obstacles. So that really inspires me. And also wellness. Wellness is my thing at the moment, that I'm reading things cover to cover and just literally engrossing myself into it. And just through all of that, I've come to here where we are today.
Awesome. And so what's your particular interest in terms of health? Is that physical health, nutrition? Is it exercise? Is it mental health? Or is it everything together?
Definitely there's the mindset side. I do have a background in psychology, so mindset is a core thing for me. And then movement, definitely, because movement is from a physical perspective. But I would also say at the moment, the thing that inspires me the most is from a wellness perspective is food, nutrition. Like, so definitely a holistic approach, just looking at the whole body as well as somebody's environment, their mental state and physical state, and what they're putting in their body, obviously.
Oh, for sure. And there's a lot of research, a lot of studies, and even anecdotal information that suggests that the different foods that go into a person's body, depending on who they are and probably their genetic makeup is part of it. Certain foods can create certain moods, and you know, obviously some of those foods can be toxic to the body. And I think it's really critical that we understand that our brains and our minds are not separate to everything that happens within our body. And it's a complex conversation to have in that area, but just being open to learning that information, it's amazing. I really respect what you say about understanding someone's transition from where they were to where they are going, and that phase of development. What I really love about the Speakers Initiate's Key Talks is I said this to Fabiola in our key conversation, it's just phenomenal to watch people transition from the moment before they take to the microphone to the time they're delivering their presentation and to that time afterwards. I've seen some amazing transitions in people, and I think wherever we get that opportunity to help someone to transform, even if we play the role of catalyst, that in itself is awesome. So I totally understand, just from my own perspectives, how important it is to really understand that we're not stuck. It may seem like it sometimes. We're not destined just to be one way. We evolve, we grow, we develop, and we become something more, provided we're open to that. I think that's also
Well, they do say that if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So
absolutely.
you need to be evolving in some way or another. But I think it also gives good insight into why people end up in certain situations as well. Just understanding the stack-on effect that people can have, and how, you know, they use different forms to escape, whether it be alcohol, drugs, and how that can then lead them into other paths. So sometimes you need to just have a bit more empathy for people that are in different circumstances, and understand, I would say, more, not necessarily to take on the load of their stresses, but not to carry the load, but just to be able to be mindful of it.
Yeah, and if not carrying the load, which is, I agree with, we're not carrying the load, we're helping them to distribute it a bit more evenly so that they can bear it a bit better, and also to figure out, is there some part of that load they can let go of, because we don't have to carry everything around with us. We can find ways, even if it is just taking it off one brick at a time. It takes time. Healing is a very long process. There are proponents for certain treatments that would say you can do it in a snap of a finger, and look, I've found personally, I've explored those options, and I think it does depend. It's horses for courses. Everyone is different, and we need to respect that everybody learns and experiences and heals in a very different way. But what's really critical is that we need to feel heard, listened to, and supported along the way. So yeah, the idea that that we just have to grow, or we, as you say, we die, and if we just die inside. So yeah, some really great insights there, and it's fascinating you say your background is in psychology, so I can see where that really shows through in your insights and understanding. So that's really, really interesting. I think we're on to our next question, so let's have a look at that one. Okay, so why do you participate in the Speakers Initiate's Key Talks?
Again, I think it comes back down to the stories. I love hearing people's stories, and then from there, the messages that come out of those stories or experiences. I have worked with a company called Migrant Resource Centre, and my job was to help them set up a school in order to, get some more education in the Northwest region, and from there, obviously, hopefully, more job opportunities. And in that, working with them, I did see a lot of discrimination. I did see a lot of segregation in different ways, and just talking with the community and hearing all these stories. Look, I would say I'm on a very selfish path. Me helping them in different ways like that is actually benefiting me personally as well. So it is a bit of a win-win, and I think just being at the Speakers Initiate is another way for me to connect with people on a face-to-face forefront, because yes, social media is great and we do get to connect with a lot of people. However, I would say social media is better to maintain those relationships, but I would say being at somewhere like the Speakers Initiate helps those face-to-face interactions develop on a more authentic level. And obviously, just again, like you were saying, the energy in the room is completely different to when you're just watching something online or listening to something online.
Yeah, for sure. And I really, really appreciate that, because you've also been in the audience to attend event number 5 that you came along to, which is fantastic. And just it's one of those moments where it's a rather small gathering of people, because I tend to find that it's more, for want of a better phrase, more intimate, it's more personal, and it's very one-on-one, so we all get to know each other. So it's been a pleasure having you in the room, and I'm looking forward to when you're actually the person with the microphone and sharing the story, which is going to be really cool. So that's awesome that you're participating in it, and I welcome any of my speakers to take to the microphone more than once. One, because the message is important, but 2, it also means that we become more authentic in our delivery, and people just get to feel more comfortable with us when we're sharing that message. So
I would definitely agree with that it gives you that chance to be a little bit more vulnerable and then build that resonance so that people can sort of feel like they're connecting to your story or your message. And you can only do that with practice. And thank you so much for providing that sort of platform to give potential speakers that practice space in it. And again, another word you used, in a welcoming environment. There's no need to be nervous, as in it's such, like you said, intimate and warm, that gives you that confidence to be like, you know what, they're going to give me great feedback. They're going to give me whatever I need to be able to grow. And, you know, that's the best environment for, you know, future speakers.
Yeah, absolutely. And we certainly do that. And one of the things that we accept within the group is that the first time anyone delivers is likely to be a bit clunky. It's likely to be a little bit messy. It could be that you forget something. It could be that you wished you had your notes in front of you. But the audience knows that this is that platform, and they're so engaged, and they really give the speaker full attention, which is just amazing. It's a really, I wanted to create a platform that allowed us to, as speakers, feel comfortable, but also that the audience could realize they were watching a professional in the making. And everyone seems to just openly respect that, which is, it's just amazing. And, you know, the experience for every speaker is the same, and it's a real, as you say, welcoming. And that's the one thing I'm really pleased with. I want people of, and part of this is not just about social inclusion, it's about diversity. It's about recognizing that we are all different, but when we're welcomed and when we're encouraged and brought into a community, we all can start to blossom and shine within ourselves and feel that we can take some of those barriers away and feel a little bit more, not just vulnerable, but even if we break a little bit, that we're around people that are okay with that, because they understand we're human, and that's what life is all about. Absolutely. So the next question that we've got is, what led you to this particular project to share your personal story? What was going on for you?
I would say that I was looking for happiness in the wrong areas, like most of us do, you know, whether it be academic achievements or monetary, you know, possessions and things like that. So after realizing that none of that's kind of working for me, I started, again, like I was saying, looking at my own health and wellness, because I was suffering from high cholesterol, fatty liver, all these crazy things that I didn't think I would have at 30 years of age.
Yeah.
So going on to, like, you know, watching what I'm eating and moving a bit more, and then going internal and looking at like my mindset, even though my background is psychology, we all go through the same thing. We all have limiting beliefs. We all have different things that hold us back. So realizing that you can't be in a space of gratitude while you hold on to anger, resentment, all these other things. I was unpacking different sort of mental blocks for myself, and gratitude just kept coming up. So again, like I said, it helped, together with my wanting to help the community and bringing my kids into it. I sort of forged the project together, and like you said, just being that first person wanting to go out and do it, it actually opened up a lot of doors for people to say, I've always wanted to do something like that, but didn't know how. Or I wanted to do it, but because I don't know anyone doing it, I was scared to. So just sort of being the person doing it, I got an influx of people saying, oh, next year when you do it, I'd like to do it because it's not as scary as I thought it would be. Or I don't know what people's ideas are about going out and talking with strangers, but people are very nervous to talk to people that are not within their circle. So being able to do that, and now you giving this platform to be able to speak about it, and like Fabiola said yesterday, the more you sort of speak about it, the stronger your message gets.
Absolutely.
So I think that for me is really important, because in the beginning I knew I wanted to speak, but I didn't know what my topic was. I couldn't find core thing that, but the more I spoke with you, Terry, you helped me sort of uncover that. And I would say it is definitely social inclusion, as well as, you know, from a wellness perspective as well. But that's definitely my thing. So thank you for helping me uncover that.
My pleasure. I'm pleased to think that I even was, you know, playing a part or a catalyst in that. And one of the things I really appreciated about what you've said is that there are ways that we want to express ourselves, and we can sometimes come up against obstacles that we feel they're a little bit insurmountable. And as you say, some people are really anxious about, I guess we're socially conditioned to think that it's not okay to talk to strangers because the media control all of these negative stories about, you know, the people that are homeless are, you know, they're drug addicts, or they're this or they're that, and they've got all these horrible labels attached to them. We forget that if we peel away the layers, some of these people have had to escape horrendous family or social situations, and it was do or die. If they didn't leave that environment, they were probably going to commit suicide. They may have ended up in prison. They may have ended up dead. Horrible, horrible things that we just emotionally, we've had to probably package away because we can't deal with that. We're not conditioned in society to be open and emotionally mature enough to know how to respond to those kinds of conversations. There are people in the community who are really hurting, like hurting in ways we may never understand, because unless we go through it or are in some way connected to it, we won't feel it. So sometimes it just takes the step that you took, and that's finding a way to go out and talk to people who are going through a difficult situation. And sometimes just that conversation can be life-changing. So if we can create that platform, and the Speakers Initiates, it may be that, okay, I'm at the helm and I created it and it was my crazy idea, but it's nothing without the speakers, and it's nothing without the audience, and it's nothing without all the volunteers that are just playing an enormously amazing part in this to give us the chance to touch lives. So thank you for being a part of it. But look, let's all just see how our messages can get out there and make a difference.
Definitely.
Cool. I think we're on to our next question. All right, so our next question is, what's important to you about social change, and what social cause do you represent or align your message with or feel strongly about? And I know we've sort of covered off some of this, so share a bit more about that.
Yeah, definitely say social inclusion is my thing at the moment. I can't even watch a movie about discrimination without being in tears. Like, it really pulls on my heartstrings, especially with children. I was in the Royal Children's Hospital for my daughter. She was having some medical issues, and just looking around and seeing children in, you know, situations that only, you know, the strongest people can go through, made me feel just teaching the kids, doesn't matter what you look like, what disability somebody may have, color, race, gender, anything, you just need to be inclusive. So it was a really good experience to get the kids to go and play with other kids that they may not generally reach out to. And then it also made me want to become a volunteer at the Royal Children's Hospital as well. So that's something that I look forward to doing, again, because I was speaking with the parents and just turning around and asking them, how are you going? You know, just lets them have an opportunity to unfold and let go of a little bit of that pressure. So if there's any way that I can help, and even if it is like from a voluntary way, that's probably going to be my path in future.
And you've touched on something really important there, is asking the parents how they're feeling, because a lot of the time everyone's focused on the patient, the child, the person that's not well. The parents are often not coping, but they've got to hold together and be strong, because that's what everyone expects of them. And sometimes they just want someone to hear them.
That's right.
Yeah, cool. Well, I think our next topic, or next question is, so are there any resources that have really helped you on your journey? And again, I think we've covered on some of this, but share a little bit more about that.
Look, I would say probably, I don't have a specific title I can give you, but books. Books have always been my medium. of learning, of escape, of being inspired. So I would definitely say books has always been my thing. Imagine being able to read someone's whole life's work in a week.
Oh, wow.
And being able to gain that knowledge. So books is definitely my medium of resource that always helps me grow as an individual. Additional to that, I would say going to events. So even, you know, the Speakers Initiate, going to the first one, getting to hear Nat's talk and Joel's talk, helped me sort of feel like maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do more than just stay in a little box. So I would definitely say just putting yourself in outside of your comfort zone and in different environments that help you grow as an individual. So yeah, good platform, definitely.
Yeah, no, that's important. And I myself am a bit of an avid book reader, and I think it's really important that in order for us to move from a place where we say, like, in a little box of some kind, we're sort of, however society has tried to, you know, set us up, whether that be school or the family or, you know, whatever country you're from, whatever your initial start, you're not destined to always be that person. And provided you've got access to resources, and again, sometimes those that are not included in society, those who aren't necessarily in an advantaged society, don't have access to those resources. But when the resources are available, it's amazing the transformation in people's lives that can happen, whether it be books, even just knowing that some people can't read. So just the idea that
audio too, so, and I love the library. I would say the library is one of my favorite places to be that I just get lost in. Yeah. And the ability to be able to request certain books and then them order it in for you. You know, if financially you can't afford to be constantly buying books, it's a great opportunity to kind of tap into what interests you the most to help develop you.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Libraries are like a godsend. They're amazing. Yeah. I myself was always a library file, I guess. I was someone who loved them. I was always in there. So it's really, really valuable that education is not necessarily just the schooling, it's the ability to immerse yourself in new learnings, wherever that comes from. So, you know, if we can be in our way, just through the Speakers Initiates platform, if we can in some way help people to take that next step, if we can play the role of catalyst in taking someone from, you know, from caterpillar to a glorious butterfly, hey, whatever we are able to do, if we can just in some way collaborate with services and facilities that allow us to be the change makers that we set out to be, then, you know, the more that we can do that, the better that the opportunities that are available to not just the speakers, but to the audience as well. And really, I just want to be about how can we do better to make a much happier and much more included environment for people, whether it's in our local community or globally. And, you know, I don't stop at just the local boundaries. And, you know, to me, we're all part of the same global village. So, you know, we've got to start somewhere. And, you know, if it means the first time you take to a microphone is that first step, why not? Let's see what we can do to change and all be part of that. So it's very important. And you've shared some really valuable insights today. I really appreciate the time you've taken to be part of Key Conversations today. And is there anything you'd like to finish out with?
I would probably just say you just need to take the first step. Absolutely. When you have an idea, just take that first step and see where it leads. Don't overthink it. Don't try and have this big vision and be scared of how you're going to get there. Just take that first step. And for me, that first step is probably having this first opportunity for a keynote style presentation. I am scared as hell, but I'm sure so many other people feel that way. And again, it comes back to, you know, are you going to approach it with love or fear? So, you know, I'm going to try and do it with love. And I know the people that are in the room watching as well, whether they are friends and family or people you have not yet met, you know, they all come and listen to you without judgment and in a space full of sort of just appreciation, love, warmth. It's a really nice space.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited for you. And it really is. It's everything that you've just mentioned. It's knowing that even though you're going to be scared the first time, because 30 minutes is actually quite a long period of time in the preparation for it. But even as Nat said, and in the October event, she was surprised at how quickly it went. 30 minutes, you feel like you're under the pressure to come out with this enormous amount of information, but the time ticks by so quickly, and you feel like you could have just talked for hours because so much goes through your head during that 30 minutes. So it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I know that everyone in the audience is going to be really looking forward to hearing both yourself and Fabiola as part of Social Inclusion Week. And if anyone's watching today, I'm hoping you've gained some sort of insight into what the Speakers Initiate's Key Talks are all about. I just want to say thank you, Rian, for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Terry.